A communist trinket is hovering over allegedly capitalist United States of America. And it is a matter of concern for many people, except the blue check marks on Twitter, which are saying, so what if there is a spy balloon? And it can't do anything that a satellite cannot do, so the Chinese can use their satellites to see what's in the United States. And while that is true, it's the principle of it, motherfucker. It's the principle of it. Like, one thing is a satellite that's in orbit, and another thing is a plane, a drone, or a balloon that's violating your airspace. You try sending some to China, see how they react. They're going to react like a sane and normal nation. Now, apparently, this balloon is hovering over what appears to be one of the large portions of the U.S. arsenal in Montana, home to some of the U.S.'s nuclear missile silos. The Chinese are saying it's a weather balloon. The Americans are saying it's a spy balloon. Now, the question is, why don't they pop it? Why don't they shoot it down? The official reason is that if they pop it, what goes up must come down. And unfortunately, it can come down on someone's private property. You wouldn't be happy if it was yours, or heaven forbid, come down on someone's head. So that's why officially they don't pop it. Unofficially, I believe that it's so high into the stratosphere that nothing short of an intercontinental ballistic missile can hit it. And even if there is something that can hit it, it's probably a little bit too expensive. So maybe that's why they decide not to pop it, especially because if you pop it and it's expensive, then what's to stop the Chinese government for sending more? But yes, apparently the technology of using a spy balloon, something that I guess it's like what, World War I era, is not very advanced. The balloon is now being taken away by the wind, and it's not even where it's supposed to be. So the question is then, why did the Chinese do this? Why you do this? And I can think of several reasons. Number one, they're saber rattling. So they want to show the United States, like, we did this to you. We did this. What are you going to do about it? Jack shit. You're going to do jack shit. So this is the type of rhetoric that's good for the CCP, for their population. It's like, oh, look, you know, the Americans are freaking out because of our weather balloon. Tee-hee, ha-ha. And they're not doing anything about it. Of course, the Americans have done something about it. They have stopped some of the diplomatic relationships that were supposed to go through. I believe Blinken was supposed to travel to China recently, but due to this, he has canceled the visit. The other explanation, which is more likely, can be that the Chinese government is trying to deflect from a different scandal. What that scandal is, I don't know yet. Maybe we're going to hear about it in the next couple of days. But this is definitely one of the tactics that the CCP has employed in the past, and it's a tactic that many other nations employ as well. Usually when you have a big problem on your hand and you realize that the scandal is going to be released to the press soon, you divert public attention with something else. And this seems to be a perfect thing to divert it away from. And also take into account that they have violated Taiwan's airspace yet again. I know this because I watched him pull, Mini Beanie. He's got all those videos with the Civil War. And now he is switching it up, and now it's World War III. So he was panicking over the fact that China has violated Taiwanese airspace, which did happen yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago. Very in tune with the balloon as well. And this is not going to start a conflict with Taiwan, because China has been doing this quite often in recent time, especially since their ships aren't even in position. Like if you want to start a military engagement, you would do it with shock and awe, not, hey, by the way, we're coming, get ready, right? So all of these two things put together would lead to the conclusion that there may be something that appears in the press within the next couple of days, 1 or 2 weeks, which the Chinese government hopes people are going to be distracted away from, with balloons, with violations of Taiwan airspace. But again, it's hard to decide. Now, there is another possibility, very unlikely, but I keep hearing it on the internet, and it's the fact that this is some new technology, right? So that the balloon is armed with instruments, right, which can include cameras, radar, sensors, but like something that is even more high-tech than all of these, and they require to be in closer proximity than a satellite. Yeah, I don't buy that story because communists aren't very innovative. And this is by design. You can't have free thinkers in a communist society. In order to have creativity, you need to allow people to think freely, to encourage people to think for themselves, and that is not something which is happening a lot in a dictatorship. So this is why the Chinese usually copy things, right? Like if you look at the Huawei when it started, it was a complete copy of the iPhone, down to the bugs, down to where the cameras are, down to where the USB slots are. Like everything was copied. And this is what usually happens. So I do not think that this is some like high-tech communist gadget that can only be placed on a high-altitude service balloon. Not to mention, again, the satellites are definitely much more accurate, much more better. So apparently China warned against conjectures and hyping up the issue, while it worked to verify the reports of the balloon with the state media outlet, the Global Times, accusing the United States of aggravating tensions. Yeah. So, you know, if the US were to send balloons over China, this is literally what I would do, to be honest, if I was in charge of like the US diplomacy. I would start sending a couple of balloons to China as well. Weather balloons, of course. Just literally weather balloons. And see how they react, right? And if they try to pop them or escalate tensions, I'll be like, oh well. Despite China's explanation, the incident is likely to increase tensions ahead of the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to China next week. From what I understand, it was delayed. Sorry, not delayed, cancelled. The top U.S. diplomat will be in Beijing to hold talks on a wide range of issues, including security, Taiwan, and COVID-19. Maybe they literally didn't want to have that talk, you know? Maybe they didn't want to have the talk about Taiwan and COVID-19. I mean, that is also a possibility. Like, they didn't want to have the delegations happening. And they knew that the Americans would react like this. I mean, the first thing you do when you piss off another nation is that they shut down the delegations. So that's another... I found the third possibility. While making this video, aren't I freaking... I am amazing, aren't I? So, if you like my channel, please consider subscribing. I do have a beautiful subscribe star, and if you don't want to, you can also give a super thanks. Really appreciate that as well. Don't forget, this Sunday, we're going to watch Conan the Barbarian on Discord. Very beautiful movie. I grew up with it. Probably one of the first fantasy movies that I've seen in my life. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Really good. So you should come to my Discord, and we're going to watch it together this Sunday. I'll see you guys there. Take care.